back to the second part. I had to take a little break there, but yeah, this is where we left off. This was it. This was the one I had no choice but to keep looking after. Careful, or your fingers go numb and snap right off. With a harsh swish, the strips of the plastic curtain rasped against one of another and stirred the air. A clear young woman's voice, carrying the chill of the night wind, slipped lightly into the vacuum-sealed hush. I didn't turn around right away. Instead, I slowly drew my hand back out of the white vapor of the killing cold. I smoothed the bright color boxes of ice cream, wet laid on top of the camouflage, back into the place. Then I gripped the edge with both hands and shoved the lid back down. Bang! The dying beast labored. Breathing was trapped once more beneath the heavy metal lid. Death was sealed away again, buried back at the bottom. It's fine. I keep track of the timing. If the temperature rises and the body starts to rot, we're in trouble. I brushed the frost from my hands and turned around. Koi was standing beside the pile of cardboard boxes. If Shirakawa was a clever bird, skimming off profit wherever she could, then Koi was a creature native to this ecosystem, roaming through it as she owned the place. Get to meet Koi, guys. She knew everyone on the street, the delinquents loitering around, the punks stealing shady pills, even the homeless with no future to speak of. All of them listened to her. At least a little. In this fringe territory where people with no home washed up gathered, she was a minor boss of sorts. But this street had no center. There was no absolute king here, just garbage heap stitched together out of bloated desires and a random chaos. The guy bowing and scraping to you once second might sell you out, the next for a few crumpled bills. In a place where anything could happen at any time. There wasn't any single person you could trust completely. Especially not after we started hiding in here. Koi's glaze slipped past my shoulder and came to rest on the chest freezer, crouching silently in the corner. A corpse was like some kind of radioactive material. Once it came to light, it could dissolve every shred of normalcy around it. To let someone else get the hold of a secret like this was the same as choosing to swallow poison. On the rooftop, Shirakawa had asked if I was looking after Koi. Honestly, that wasn't wrong. I looked after her, and she looked after me. In the language of sociology, or the law, they made us accomplices. What a reassuring word. In this world stinking of ammonia and lies, we were keeping this secret together. To protect this freezer, we split the 24 hours of a day cleaning in half. As nearly as slicing a cake, the convenience store was open 24 hours a day. A monster that could never close its eyes. If that was the case, then we had no choice but to become sleepless guards. Sleepless guards. From noon until late night, I was here. Around midnight, right about now, Koi will appear like a ghost, take over for me, and keep watch until the afternoon. Can this really work without anyone finding out? What about the foraging part-timers at the store? How they divided up their duties? They only handle stocking up out front and working the register. Restocking the frozen section isn't part of the job. And besides, they're already used to seeing your face. You can come and go whenever you want. So as long as we fit together like gears, no one will ever reach down to the frost at the very bottom. How long is this supposed to last? Forever? Koi's voice gave nothing away. It doesn't have to be forever. At the beginning of the next month, this store will shut down for routine maintenance. When that happens, the power will be cut, the cameras will go dark, and the shutters will stay down for more than a half a day. That day, we move him somewhere else. We just had to hold out until then. Same as ever out there, Koi's voice cuts in, pulling me back from the memories I drifted into without noticing. Using an old cardboard box as a step, she hopped up with easy familiarity and settled onto the huge chest freezer like a weightless stray cat. She let her legs dangle and idly tapped the white material side with the worn toes of her sneakers. Just one more week. I walked over, braced my hands on the narrow bit of space left beside her, and sat down next to her, on top of the freezer. After that, it'll be all over. Koi tilted her head back and looked at the fluorescent light on the stockroom ceiling. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if it didn't end. Living like this, with our days and nights flip around and hiding in some corner where nobody can find us, it doesn't seem all bad. Even through my clothes, I could clearly feel the little stillness of 20 below and the faint tremor of the compressors straining beneath us. Are you really okay with not going to school? I turned to look at her. Koi dragged down her shoulders, slumping like all the air had gone out of her, her whole body curling into one itself. It's not like I get in it anyway. Look at English vocab, scarier than looking at my dad's face. English is hard, guys. You won't know unless you try. Next month, let's rent a place somewhere nearby and actually study. Like me, Koi was another kid stuck retaking the entrance exams, someone with no real place in society, and by coincidence, we're both aiming for the same university. And then again, that university was in this neighborhood too, so maybe it wasn't all that strange that we ended up accomplices. This street really did contain everything. Hey, just hypothetically, if we actually got into the university, what do you think our lives would be like? Koi's voice was so quiet, it was as if she was afraid of disturbing the fragile balance of the air. What would they be like? I guess we turn into the kind of ordinary college students you see everywhere. In the morning, we head to some big lecture hall and listen to half-bald old professors drone on like they were chanting sutras. Even when we had no idea what they were talking about, we still pretend to take notes so we could scrape by on those little pause classes, response cheats. At lunch, we stand in front of line for 20 minutes in an overcrowded student cafeteria for pork cutlet said that wasn't even that good, just filling. In the afternoon, we claim a window seat in the library study area. Then we put our heads down on the desk and spend the rest of our day scrolling through our phones. Once I'd said all that on one breath, the stockroom was left once more with nothing but freeze compressor dull labor breathing. That sounds so boring. Corey bury in her face and her arms and mumble the complaint into her sleeve. And yet, even at dim light, I could clearly see something faint, bright glimmer in her eyes. We could join a club too, a light music club, a flame club, whatever. And when school was out, we'd go to the beach on a club trip with a bunch of ordinary people of age. At night, we still have a barbecue on the sand and buy cheap fireworks and to celebrate a perfectly ordinary life. A beach trip. The corners of Koi's mouth loosened, lifting just a little without her even noticing. Then I had to buy a cute dress. That was how we sat there side by side on top of the huge chest freezer, sitting on top of the sin we committed with our own hands. Like two children who knew nothing about the world, we casually pieced together little scraps of tomorrow. Suddenly, a violent metallic crash shattered the fragile glass castle we managed to build inside ourselves. The sound had come from the direction of the register up front. Koi's whole body tense, like a startled stray cat. She sprang down from the freezer at once. Her right hand went instinctively into the box, cut it in her pocket as she strode for the door. Without a word, I followed after her. Alright, and that was part two. Then I take another break. But yeah, I mean, that was insane. We basically hiding a body, and what you call it? We're bonding. We're not bonding. I mean, yeah, we're just hiding a body. It was just crazy. Me and this girl that I known for a while apparently. Well, Shirakawa is like next door or something. Oh man, interesting story. Okay, I'll continue this later. See ya. Alright, and we're back for part three. So something loud happened by the register on the front, and we're about to find out what it is. Outside the door, there were no glaring police lights, no sharp or sweep of a flashlight beam. What hit me instead was the only harsh fluorescent glare of the cell's floor and the smell of a ship liquor. Beyond the register, all I saw was a young man sprawled on the floor like a marionette, with its strings cut. Apparently, he got in blackout drunk, crashed into a hot display case by the entrance, and sent everything around it toppling like dominoes. False alarm. Koi, walking ahead of me, clicked her tongue under her breath. Just for a moment ago, her shoulders had been drawn tight. Her whole body curved like something about to spring. Her right hand buried deep in the pocket, where she kept her box cutter. Now that Pharaoh, bristling tension had visibly started to loosen up. The street was full of idiots who were after a few cups of rotogu, turning into something less than human. Knocking over the display was one of the most ordinary, unremarkable things that could happen here. But for the two of us, who had just been touching dead in the freezer months ago, a sudden crash like that was hell to the nerves. It felt like someone was scraping coarse sandpaper over nerves that were already close to snapping. Drunk's friends shouted something slurred and half incomprehensive as they dragged him outside. I forced down the shiver that rose from all the tension, took a deep breath, and put a usual night shift manager face back on. Go get the mop. Wipe the entrance first. Don't worry about this. Get back to the register. I'll take care of the hot case. I get the forging clerk his instructions in a flat, emotionless voice. Then I turn to Koi. Go get some air. You don't have to stay wounded this tight. Go find a friend or something and kill some time. And keep an eye on what's happening outside for a while you're at it. She didn't argue. She just shrugged and she passed the register. She casually lifted a pack of cigarettes from the rack by the door with the ease of passing breeze. The automatic door gave its lifeless electronic chime and she slipped neatly into the garnished wash of neon outside. I went to grab a crate, then crashed down in the middle of the mess and started cleaning up. With the same hands that just minutes ago I had touched the corpse cheeks in a freezer, and 20 below I picked up the cans from the heated display one by one. Before long the case was full again. Only 2 cans of coffee had taken enough of a hit that their aluminum sides were badly crushed, too dented to sell anymore. 2 cans of coffee that could no longer be sold. Wasn't a big deal. I could just mark them as damaged in the system and be done with it. Still, somebody might as well drink them. Better than throwing them away unopened. So, naturally, as anything, I shoved them into the deep pockets of my coat. Once everything was taken care of, I pushed open the glass door and stepped outside. The night wind had a bit of a bite to it, and in an instant blew the store's stale, murky air from my clothes. I pulled one of the damaged cans from my pockets, popped the tab open with a click. The liquid slid down my throat, faintly sweet, with that cheap, artificial aftertaste. Looking down the street, I saw the group of drunks who caused the scene hadn't gone very far. The guy who knocked over the display was hunched over the edge, flower a dozen meters away, vomiting over and over like a broken pump. Beside him was a large woman bundled in a large open layer of rag old clothes. She was a well-known homeless woman who on the street, where it was delinquents, black-suited touts, or girls working the nightlife trade. Everyone called her Mama, as if it was a spoken agreement. I never spoken to her myself. Everything I knew about her came from Shirakawa. At that moment, Mama was pulling a few crumpled tissues from the filthy plastic bag stuffed with junk at her side. And with that surprising gentleness, she was wiping the vomit from the man's mouth. Her other hand kept patting his back, and slowly in steady beats. Don't you think the whole scene is kinda ironic? All of a sudden, I remember something Shirakawa had said not long ago on the top of the roof. Smoke curling from her lips, and that lazy, inefficient voice of hers. Those little idiots are out there rolling around on pavement, making fools of themselves and picking their guts out. But if you open even one of their wallets, there'd be more money in it than the woman's made in a half a year. And yet, ones with money to spare and perfectly healthy bodies are sitting there like helpless babies, being looked after as is only natural by a homeless woman who can't even count on her next meal. Come to think of it, the other can still in my pocket. Come to think of it, the other can still in my pocket. Was the mildly sweet kind Shirakawa like? I wonder whether her shit was going well tonight. I leaned against the cold glass in front of the convenience store and looked towards the intersection a little further off. The deeper the night got, the more freneticized the opposed of the street became. On both sides of the road, bodies were packed shoulder to shoulder forming a wall of bodies. Maids in revealing outfits, statues, idols, even glittering magical girls. They stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder, lining to the curve from end to end. Through the middle of the stream, tourists drawn by the neon and exhausted office workers with dead eyes. Here, everyone was seizing everyone else's up while being seized up in turn. Every time I saw the place like this, I felt suffocating pressure clamp around my chest. In the garish sea of people, I spotted Shirakawa almost at once. In the chill of the night, when the skimpy outfit looked spectacularly flimsy in the cold. At the moment, she was doing her best to pitch something to a slightly overweight man. He stood there with his little belly pushed out, his gaze sticking with self-satisfaction as he looked her up and down with open superiority. And yet, not a trace of disgust showed on Shirakawa's face. On that carefully made up face was a bright, sugary smile, so perfectly it was almost fake. Better not interrupt her. So I stayed where I was, in the shadow beneath the store, only drinking my coffee and quietly watching the exchange play out. A few minutes later, it was over. The man had apparently only wanted the ego boost of being fused over by a younger girl. He never intended to spend money and soon turned his back and disappeared in the crowd. As far as sales went, it was completely a failure, but Shirakawa didn't even show the slightest hint of displeasure. She stayed right where she was, still wearing that perfect smile. Did it ever leave her feeling hollow? I watched her smooth the hem of her skirt, where the night wind roughed it. Take a deep breath and turn the bright, glittering glaze towards the next target coming her way. I figured she'd gotten used to it a long time ago. On a street that could swallow you whole, skin and bone, at any moment, pride was the most useless burden there was. I used to think Shirakawa was unnecessarily harsh, even cold, towards the young people on the street. But now watching her, I feel like I finally understand a little. She didn't draw a hard line between herself and those bugs blinded by the light. She didn't keep mocking everything around her in the back of her mind. Then she probably would have been swallowed by the street long ago, just like everyone else. She used her sharp tongue and lace uniform as a kind of armor against this place itself. Everyone was clinging in their own way to some fraying lifetime at the edge of the cliff, weren't we all? The night wind seemed a little colder now. I slipped a hand into my pocket and took out the dented can of highly sweet coffee. I had meant to save it for Shirakawa. I put back the tap and raised the can towards the night sky in a quiet toast. That is it. I did a little break, sorry. Well, that was interesting. Get to see Shirakawa on her work environment, kind of, in a way. And how tense life is in this city. Kind of interesting. But we shall see more in the next episode. Bye bye.